Alright, I'm almost to Lake Clovis, or Quail Lake, one of the two. I don't know what this is. Anyway.
In 800 feet, turn left onto North Waterside Drive.
Got a neat outboard here to look at. Alright, just made it through security. Nice little view so far. Got some water. Nice little water view in these homes. Alright, just got back. Got some engines I got to drag out of here, and then I'll show you the other one. And here it is. This beauty is known as a Briggs & Stratton AA0202. It is a remote-controlled engine. If it was the tiller, it would be an AA0201. So, that's what we're dealing with. It is a 48-volt electric outboard. Apparently, it's a 3-horse. According to what we see with what's left of the cowling here. This thing's pretty done for, huh? Anyway, so 3 horsepower, 150 pounds of thrust, electric outboard. Pretty, I don't know. I haven't seen one before. When I saw this, I was like, you know, there's certain things I need to have in my channel / life. This is probably one of them. So it being a remote controlled engine, we have this. It's pretty old, pretty faded. That's the beauty of the California sun. We have this button, which I believe is the battery gauge. Tells you if it's dead, which, you know, given our wiring condition, it's not doing nothing. And then forward and reverse and speed. Does this thing work? Oh, and safety lanyard. Does it work as it sits? Heck no. Will it? Well, hopefully. The main concern I had when I saw this thing, because I didn't see all these little parts right here, it was the missing parts, because I didn't think that I was going to be able to find anything for this. Because, you know, this is how it's photographed, and I asked the guy, like, you got the missing parts? And he's like, no, it's all there. It's all there, like you have the missing parts? He's like, there are no missing parts. So, okay, so when I'm looking at it like this, like, I know, yes, we are missing the steering section. I know we're missing parts, but does that mean you don't have? Anyway, it was a, okay, I'll come look at it kind of thing. Sure enough, he did have the missing parts. He didn't quite know. I think he knew these went to it, but I didn't think, I don't know. But then I said, where's the steering arm? Because I didn't know what that looked like. And he's like, oh, let me find that. And he found that over in the corner of his garage. And this is, in fact, the correct steering arm. The reason I thought I needed that stuff is because, like I said, I didn't think I was going to be able to get parts for it. But as it turns out, you absolutely can. The tiller, he printed this stuff out. It's a manual for it. The hood, right here, I can buy that brand new for $200. I can buy the new power connector since his battery cables were cut. They're $180, and it's just not worth that kind of money. I'll just make my own. But yeah, most of these parts you can still get. Like I was browsing the controller. I can buy a new controller. I can buy new wiring for it. Don't want to. It's far from cheap. But like these 2 brackets. Yep, you can buy both of those new in case those rusty ones won't clean up. Seals and whatnot. Seals, bearings. I don't think I can buy a propeller, but maybe I can. I don't know. Anyway, most of the parts are available. It's kind of surprising. I have some burrs on the steering tube. It's like a pipe wrench was used here. It doesn't look like the tube was collapsed at all, like from the inside. But we definitely have a bunch of burrs here. Like I said, it looks like from a pipe wrench, which doesn't allow this bracket to slide off, which doesn't allow that bracket to align very well. So I'm going to file that stuff off. I think that's really the only repairs I need to do to this side of it. It being an aluminum tube, not a stainless steel tube like we're used to seeing around here, that went pretty smoothly. Washer number 1. Use the clean washers. Smart man would put grease on these things. That feels like it's supposed to be like that. And that bolt is still the friction adjust too. I made sure I had a tilt pin. Let's throw that in there. Yep, all the lines. Yeah, looks good. Got my work sandals on. I need a bigger stand. I mean that. Yeah, all right, fine. What I'm noticing here is all the pinch points. So as I put these on, pinch point between the handles and the steering tube. If the steering tube wasn't there, that wouldn't be a problem. But also when I was holding it, carrying it, and this swung down, the rotating of the arm, it pinched the end of my four fingers. Not a big deal. Once it's on the boat, you know, there's no pinch points, I don't think anymore. But I'm kind of noticing that so far. I handle Johnson and Everard motors all the day long, and I don't pinch myself. This thing right out of the bat, I start. So these stands have a 15-degree angle to them. That way, when it's sitting in a dealer showroom, it looks good, just like it would on a boat. But when I had this pin on all the way in here, the thing was sitting way back and it looked weird, so I had to move the pin back up here to the fourth spot, I believe. Yeah, just to make it sit level. So I suppose on a flat transom boat, no problem. Or in a typical 15 or whatever degree that is boat, no problem. Or if you want to adjust for a high or low bow, still not a problem. So that was, I don't know, notable. So here's the top of the motor. We have a DC 48 volt motor attached to some type of speed controller. It's got a name on it. Sevicon. We have a solenoid here, don't know why, and then we have the power connector here that powers the box. I could buy a new one of these boxes too, which I thought was surprising. It's like $700. Got a lot, but they are still available. And that's what she looks like. Looks like a, I don't know, electric outboard. So this one's done. I found one on eBay actually. Low price of $28, which I thought was pretty good. Apparently there's not much of a market for these things. That looks good, huh? But guess what? It is already broken. All the mounting holes here are broken off where the screws attach. So I'm thinking they could have designed their hoods a little better. I have to figure something out or see if I feel like spending the money on a replacement hood. I really don't think I do, but hopefully we can figure something out for this one. All right, the controller here, we have, 18 inches of wire before it was cut off. I could splice it back together, but I don't want to. What I'd rather see is not having any splices. Also, the wire is kind of hanging out of the control box here. So I'm going to take this control box apart. I'm going to see why they cut a hole in here. And then I want to see how its harness is connected inside of here. Because if it's, 1/4-inch terminals or something, the little spade terminals, I ain't splicing it. I'm just going to eliminate this section of wire and splice that one back inside. I want it to look good. Especially if I'm not going to have this thing forever and wind up selling it. You don't want to see a bunch of splices. Alright, yellow wire is soldered onto the little potentiometer looking thing. So that's, I don't know, I could probably fix that. More splices inside. Okay, here is what I wound up doing. I couldn't find a grommet, so I tied the cord in a knot, so that'll fit in here to act as a strain relief. And rather than doing inline splices, I just went ahead and wire tied them like that, and then I'll put some heat shrink tubing over it to keep it all cool. That makes life quite easy. Rather than changing all of these 90-degree quarter terminals, which get costly, and I don't think I have that many, this just, that made life easy. So I'll clean that up and I'll put this box back together. All right, now for the fun part. Gotta power this thing somehow. Get our box within our box open. There we go, 48 volts, 65 amp hour, lithium ion for whatever battery it is. Quite nice. Now this is an EnjoyBot. It's the same brand that I have in my golf cart. Reason being, well, no one trusts the golf cart batteries. Figured might as well stick with the same brand. And I plan on doing a little solar backup for my water system, so I need to get a second one of these bad boys. But for now, this will be my soap battery. So it comes with little battery boots and, of course, hardware. Go on our battery studs. So this is a self-heating, because if it gets too cold, the battery shuts down, so it heats itself up. Which I honestly didn't need. It doesn't get that cold here, but part of the feature is the battery. So unlike my golf cart, I always said I was going to get a battery meter. Never did. Figured with this, since I can't just call somebody to come drag my golf cart home, figured I would actually get one being the boat. Comes a little shunt. It installs parallel between the battery negative. Battery positive. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look up how that works, but that's pretty nice little part. And then of course has a little display and tells us our battery life. All right. Important stuff. Look at this beauty. Don't have to do nothing. Open it, charge it, read the instructions on that battery monitor, and we will be good to go. All right, got the battery hooked up, charger hooked up. It is charging. So we just wait now. I've been telling myself for a week now to order new little kit to put longer cables on there, and here we are. Haven't done that yet, so I'm gonna make do with what we got for the time being. So I'm gonna crimp some new ends onto these cables. All right, let's connect our newly repaired connector thing in there. Power. All right, let's see what happens. Nothing. Well, we got power on our gauge here. There we go. So apparently we got a off, test, on. And the propeller is definitely spinning. So that's forward. Little cooling fan built in right here. That's the whizzing you hear. Now this is interesting too. So we have this safety latch right here, which locks onto the trim pin when you're going backwards so the motor doesn't tilt up on you. And I figured this out last night. I don't know what that solenoid does, but there's another one below. Let me see if I can get a light in there. You can see, if it focus on it, you can see the linkage there hooked up to that little solenoid. So that's the noise you hear when I put it in reverse. So basically, we turn it on, hit reverse, and that solenoid engages, which just barely holds that pin, just enough to pull it up. So this is kind of interesting too. If we let the outboard idle for a second, you'll see something. See, so after a little while there, it just kind of fan turns itself off. I think it knows it's not being used, so it just kind of turns itself off, I guess. Well, now that we know the motor does actually can work, probably, I want to go throw it on a boat and see what happens. One thing I really like about boats is how everything takes 10 times longer than it should. Like grabbing this little boat and taking it out, should just hitch them and go. Nope, flat tire. All right, let me run to Walmart and buy a new tire. Nope, don't have that size. Well, let me go to the bigger Walmart. Nope, don't have that size. Okay, Harbor Freight, 15 miles away. All right, good enough. And come back an hour and a half later, and I got myself a replacement tire. Now, I got myself this portable air pump to use for various things around the house/boat/travels. I tried using it to reseat the bead on that tire. It didn't work at all. But I can use it to fill up this side, and I don't have to deal with the air compressor hose. It's kind of neat because you can tell it to one of its preset things. So that tire wants 40 psi, so I will do 36. And we are at 5 psi right now. So that'll shut off when it gets to its psi you set it to. And while that does that, I'll get the tire on the other side. So we are at 36 psi. Thank you, little automated tire pump. At least that makes life kind of easy. Now, when I went to Harbor Freight, I fully intended to buy 2 matching tires. The tires that are on here are wheelbarrow tires, because the prior owner of this trailer just did not care. But I'd like something with some kind of high rate rating. Okay, the battery cables, they were clearly too small, so I expertly lengthened them via this splice. It'll work for now, but like I said, expert. And of course I have the proper electrical insulating tape to go with it. You know, honestly, you really don't want these touching anything. Okay, the battery monitor here. The rest of this stuff is temporary, obviously, but the battery monitor is going to get used somewhere else, and I need to be careful with it. I can't just, well, I can, I'm not going to just wrap it in duct tape like I did the other stuff. So, I got to be careful with this. I'll figure that out in a second. But basically, this is going to be the negative wire, so battery monitor gauge thing gets installed in line with the battery. So that's why I have a little thing hanging off of it. The next thing, we need a wire coming from the battery positive to power up this signal wire, which will power the gauge. So I got that wrapped in there. Use a little twist tie to hold it close to the wires. And my plan is to wrap some plastic or something around it, duct tape that to keep that nice and safe when I tear this temporary setup apart. All right, now at this point we're about ready to just put the motor on the boat and get to the water. However, you may have noticed that we have a problem. This is a remote steer engine. That little boat don't have no steering wheel. I need a tiller handle. I don't have one. But luckily, there's all kinds of different ways you can put a tiller handle on this thing. You can buy a factory one, or you can use a piece of wood. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to go with the piece of wood option. Conveniently, we have the steering bracket mounting holes right here. There's 3 of them in a line. And there's a little slot right here, almost like that's where the tiller handle would bolt. But I don't think it is. It bolts here, but something's here, so I don't know. I'm using it. Oh, it's probably a steering accessory, like a tie bar. Anyway, doesn't matter. So I'm going to bolt this piece of wood here and use that as our makeshift tiller handle. All right, that clearly might be a little too long. But hey, it works. Got the legal requirements up front. I have the battery strapped down to the boat using the little webs of the boat here. The strap runs under that across the top of the battery. This isn't cinched down very tight, just enough to not pierce the battery, but keep the battery from moving. I'll connect the battery leads when we get there. I don't want to find out that this battery wire is going to rub through somewhere and short out on me. I have the motor controller expertly installed right here. This is the gauge for the battery. That's got to go somewhere safer. That's not going to go down the road like that. Probably just unplug it, put it in the truck. Wires and whatnot running back here. Got my splice, and naturally I got the motor. I'm not going to put the cover on now because I don't want braking on the way there. So it's basically going to go down the highway like this. And yeah, got the tires filled up with that little air pump thing. One's looking good. So let's see if we can get in the water. All right, just getting to the launch ramp now. Forgot my little adapter to plug in the phone charger. But luckily, my air pump can charge USB devices. So that's a bit of a savior there. Well, let's get this thing in the water, shall we? Found a pretty good way to temporarily attach the hood. I don't want it looking like amateur hour out here without a nice looking hood on this thing. But screw mounts are broken, so I got to make do with what I got. This is what I've come up with. Perfect. Prep work is done. Let's go. So at idle, our screen showed we were drawing, I think, 6 amps if I remember correctly. So motor on. Okay. Yeah, that was weird, but whatever, it's working now. So let's go reverse. Oh, we're definitely moving. This tiller handle's a little too long. Oh, we're going. Not exactly quiet. That's good. Okay, shut off. Whatever. Let's go forward. It's a lot quieter as you get going. That's interesting. We're about a third throttle here. I remember how to steer a boat. It's been so long. As you get out of the no wake zone, don't want to kick in the wake, because that's a concern. All right, let's kick this baby up in high gear. Oh, we're moving. Oh, that's impressive. mean, that is a wake. All right, we're drawing. Looks like 55 amps. That's a lot. Is that right? Wow, that's a lot of power. Okay, according to the Viver DC clamp meter, we're drawing 15.6 amps. But according to our gauge for the battery, we're drawing 12, 13. Kind of leaning towards this thing being a little more accurate. Alright, so what I've noticed so far is the slower you go, the less power you draw. So if I go normal trolling motor speed, well, a little bit quicker, I ain't got all day here, 3-ish amps. So yeah, at 6 amps, we have 65 amp hours available to us, so we got 10 hours of battery life on that battery right now. But we kick it up into high gear, a little over an hour. Oop, another tiny boater. Wonder if he wants to race. Alright, I adjusted the trim pin, got the nose down a little bit, and gave us a nice, better looking wake. So I think that's kind of where we want it. Alright, now we got to do a speed test. So Wayne the boat guy recently made a video where he put 3 of these, well not these, but 3 electric outboards on the back of his boat to do a speed test. Now his main motor there, he was using an E-Propulsion Spirit, and he got 3.8 miles an hour out of it. Now with all 3 of his random little electric trolling motors going, you got a max speed of 4.8. So that's our goal, to beat that. Now it's not a fair comparison. He's got a heavier boat than I do. But if the world of underground Tokyo street drifting has taught me anything, it's that if you win by an inch or win by a mile, winning is winning. So let's kick this baby up here. Hopefully, A, you can hear me, and B, the screen is recording. Unlike fancy dancy Wayne over there, I don't have 2 cameras. Okay, why are you beeping at me? Alright, there's half throttle. Well, not half. Oh, beat that, Wayne. Okay, that was fighting the river current, so let's go downriver and see what happens. I'm thinking we're gonna get 9. Okay, I'm gonna hit the screen recorder, go back to the app, and see what speed we get. Alright, we have a 3rd throttle again. Going downriver now, 4.7. So let's see where we go. Did I see 6.8 for a second? All right, half throttle. Oh, wait. A little over 9 miles an hour. I'd say we're doing quite well. Yeah, Now with that 9 miles an hour, we're drawing 55 amps out of this battery, which means we got a little over an hour of runtime. That's not ideal, but I mean, it's fine. You just don't go fast. But I mean, this is moving. There's our launch ramp. I usually don't like to go south of the launch ramp, but while I'm here, might as well. That's what our wake is looking like. Probably get the kids and tow them around on the inner tube on this thing. All right, I'm pulling it out now. Let's we'll go home and talk about this thing more. Okay, I'm back. Today's little adventure, it was fun. What do I think of this thing? I think I'll get more enjoyment out of that EnjoyBot battery than I will the Outboard. Not for any reason, it's just, I got gas motors, what do I want this thing for? Which leads me to think, like, why don't you see these very often? Or ever? I don't think they sold very many of them. Because, like, if you think about it, it's a very specific use. Like, you almost need to live in a community with a little private lake that doesn't allow gas engines. That's when you need this thing. And even then, like, why spend the $2,000 to $3,000 that these cost when you, for a couple $100, you can go buy one of those little Minn Kotas down at the local Walmart? You know what I mean? Like, very, very specific use. Now, there's no doubt that this has more power than the Minn Kota does, but it's still, the price difference is still phenomenal. And not only that, but you got to think of the batteries too. So you got a 48 volt motor. So you need what, 8 6-volt batteries or 6 8-volt batteries. So, you know, you're looking at $600 to $800 for that. Or you could go with 4, you know, car batteries, a little less life out of them, but, you know, cost a couple $100 less. But then you also have the weight to consider. You know, it's not a very big motor. It's not going to push a very big boat. Why are you going to put a couple 100 pounds worth of batteries into it? So, yeah, and not only that, but you think lead acid, the maintenance and the cleaning and the corrosion that's going on inside of there, it's just not fun, not ideal. It's very, very specific customer would need this thing. Now, luckily, with the advancement of these lithium or LiFePO4 batteries, you know, this weighs about the same as one battery, so it's a quarter of the weight about. So, and, you know, a little more life out of them than your typical lead acid, so it's definitely got that going for it. So maybe in today's day and age, they might do a little better, but it's, you still got the cost of the motor. You know, there was no skating around that thing. I don't remember exactly what they cost. I don't know if they were $2,300 or $2,700, but it was around there. So, and I mean, even 20 plus years ago, you know, that was a hefty chunk of money. Like I said, you could just go get an Outboard, a gasser for a lot less. Yeah, these LiFePO4 batteries, they would be the way to go in one of these with this kind of setup, because I mean they weigh less, they last longer, and they don't corrode the way the lead acid batteries do. It's just a better battery. Like my golf cart, yeah, haven't touched anything to do with those batteries since I put these in the golf cart. And I know they're fine, but with the lead acids, oh, I was cleaning and replacing battery terminals all the time and the wires. It wasn't fun. I'm glad to rid the golf cart of those things. What is surprising to me too is the amount of power that thing wanted. Now, granted, at full throttle, we were going pretty quick. It's drawing a lot of power. You know, what is it, 50-something amps? So with this guy, you got a little over an hour worth of life. Now, when we dropped it down to half throttle and we were drawing 12 amps, now you're good for, you know, 5-ish hours. Pretty good. Now, I do think I should make some changes to my little boat there. Just, if I ever do want a demo motor like this, I don't have to rig on a wooden tiller handle. I, you know, preferably have a steering wheel of some type set up in that boat. So I'm gonna start looking into that one. Okay, I'll put some links below to the products I used here in an attempt to get some of that sweet affiliate marketing money. So if you're just interested, check those out. Otherwise, I think that's it for now. We'll see you later.